Do you have the t-shirt called "The Future is Female"? Or were you one of those who got the t-shirt called "The Future is Feminine"? And which of them are the truth, and is there a third truth? That is the question, and I think I'm a good one to answer that because I wrote a book called "The Future is Feminine: 7 Facets of 21st Century Leadership," which for now is only available in Scandinavian languages, but it will soon be out in English. But I'm not sure the title is going to be the same, because it's creating a lot of confusion, these words feminine, female. And let's tidy up a little bit in the confusion. First of all, is the future female? Well, I understand the people who say that, because what we are experiencing right now is the rise of the divine feminine. We are experiencing that in just, very down-to-earth terms. More and more women are entering the educational system. More and more women are entering in fields that were traditionally regarded as male fields. So it could be technology, it could be science, it could be leadership positions. So we definitely see a rise of females in those positions and in those fields. So far, so good. But does that mean that the future is female? I understand the people who say that, because what's happening right now is, with the strengthening of women, with women waking up to their true power, with women waking up to also setting their healthy boundaries and saying no to being regarded as le deuxième sexe, as being regarded as inferior, as less good at, as less appropriate for leadership positions or science positions or technical positions. Well, with more and more wings saying no to that and yes to going fully for unleashing their full potential, I understand, yes, we are going to see a lot more females succeeding in the coming years, and it's high time, because the world needs it. The world needs a much more balanced leadership. And this brings me to the next t-shirt, "The Future is Feminine." One of the main points in my book is that it's not enough to just be female. A lot of females have been so many years inundated in masculine energy, so many years of trying to fit into a world that was created by men for men, not because there's anything wrong with men, but just because that's how our businesses started. That's how a lot of our society was built. It was built by men, and obviously when you build something and you regard the world with one set of glasses, you tend to build something that fits that particular filter you have. So nothing wrong with that, but it just means that a lot of the women who have entered leadership positions or fields that were formerly dominated by men, in order to succeed in those fields, they have had to get more masculine. So now we actually have a lot of females. They look like women, but they are not necessarily very feminine. And the higher up the leadership ladder you go, the more clear that phenomenon is. If you look at most women in leadership positions, they are quite masculine in their ways of seeing things, in their ways of looking, or they are trying to be as neutral as possible, because so far it has been regarded as a sort of a minus to have any trait that could be confused with the feminine. The feminine has been regarded as something weak, as something passive, as something that you could use in your private life, but by all means, don't use it in businesses, don't use it in the serious areas of life where we make money, where we make decisions on behalf of the whole, where we do the serious stuff. Keep the feminine out of those areas and just use it at home where it belongs, with the children, with the sort of soft areas, the pink domains, maybe in HR and in marketing, but just don't use them in the C-suite where we take the important decisions. This has been the attitude towards the feminine, because there's a lack of understanding of what is the feminine. Is the feminine just the softy area, or is the feminine a primordial power that all genders have access to, and that is so powerful that if you want to keep in power, it's best to suppress it, because the feminine power in its essence is raw, it is wild, it is as unstoppable as the ocean, and is incredibly deep and incredibly Yeah, I would call it unstoppable. It's unstoppable. It's a life force. It's a principle that is connected to the life affirming principle, and it will not stop that drive towards the life affirming and life bearing principle. And so, yeah, this has been suppressed for many, many years because that has allowed the masculine superpower in all of us to dominate and to get its way. But the future needs to be a lot more feminine because we need a lot more of that life affirming life force. We need a lot more of that to be inundated in all areas of society in order to create a balanced world. So that's why I said in my book, the future is feminine. And that was a short way of saying the future needs to be a lot more feminine, and not just feminine, but positive, mature, feminine energy, not just represented by women, by all genders. This was a very, very short way of telling something very, very complex. And my point with that book was that because we've been in masculine overdrive, we need to add some feminine or a lot of feminine energy into the equation in order to create balance. Because when you've been in so much unbalance, you need to add what's missing, and what's been missing is mature feminine energy. So add that, and we'll tilt the balance into a more balanced state. And this is what needs to happen if we want a human-friendly future. And it's an emergency, actually, because the more the healthy feminine is entering in all areas of life, the more the traditional, you could say, more immature masculine feels threatened. And when when the masculine, when the masculine reaction to that is to power up, is to increase the masculine power in order to suppress the feminine. I'm not sure it's going to happen this time, but this is the dynamic we're seeing right now. And what is the goal? The goal is not to create an either masculine or feminine world. The goal of the more feminine future is not to exclude the men now and now say, well, the past was masculine, now it's our turn, the future needs to be feminine. No, the goal here is a whole world that works for all. The goal here is to have these two energies intertwine and actually become, you could say, ISOGYNE. I don't know how you explain that in English, actually. ISOGYNE is like a word that it's ISOGYNE. So it means that there's an equal amount of both, but actually the accent is a little bit more on the feminine, not because the feminine is better, but because in the future we need to prioritize the yin area, because now we know from quantum physics that the yin area affects the outer. So the yin needs to be prioritized a little bit before the outer world, because the inner creates the outer, and that's regardless of gender. So we need a world where we have an equal amount of masculine and feminine, but with that little accent that the feminine foot needs to be put down first. So reflection before action, and caring before doing, so that we get a world that is sort of a paradigm shift from let's do a lot before, let's build, let's let's amass, let's show a lot of visible results. That's the paradigm we used to come from when we had the masculine as our main operating system. Now when we add the feminine, it's like, no, let's turn this around and say we need to make sure that all decisions we made are not going to be destructive for nature, but actually be life promoting, because that's the priority if we want a human friendly future. So can you see that this is hopefully the future we will enter with a lot more feminine energy. You can see even as I'm speaking about it, I need to overcome some hurdles, because this is not going to be happening necessarily as a smooth ride. We all need to overcome what's stopping us currently, the toxins in our own system, the imbalances in our own system. We need to overcome those in order to make this happen. But hopefully this is what we're all working for in one way or the other. And the question for you is, what future are you working for? And what foot do you put first? Are you still technically a female, but putting the masculine foot first because you want to create results, because you want to rise in status, because that looks good, because that feels good, because that's what's rewarded in society? Or do you dare put your feminine foot first, which is my wisdom, my inner wisdom, before my outer action, my inner what's in harmony with my body and my soul, before it's something that looks good on the outside? So this is the question you can ask yourself. And if you want to learn more about this and go deeper and learn more about how these energies work within yourself and how they affect your leadership, feel free to contact me so that I can have a chat with you about whether one of my training programs where we flex those both muscles, but because we have mostly been in masculine overdrive, we especially flex that feminine muscle, so each muscle is just as strong, and that we can use these two muscles in conjunction and actually gain double power, which will enable us to create a world that works for all. Feel free to contact me, and if not, just please be aware of this, so that you can help create a world that is in balance and harmony, and not just either or both, but both and.